So
Yeah, people have to learn the difference between a recipe and a formula.
yes.
And a lot of times what baking is formulas, and so
Good
is mead
point.
making. You know,
That's
it's
an
a formula,
excellent-
not
That's a
recipe.
really good point.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, honestly, I think
Yeah.
they all are to a certain extent, because what's going on when you make mead, I mean, once you throw all the crap in the bucket and close the door, is a chemical reaction. So they're all formulas, really.
Right. Yeah.
When you understand the why, then you can look at other recipes that you might be considering, and you can see that they've got things that aren't going to work written in there. That's, We see that all the time when we say, well, post up your recipe. And unfortunately, they don't do that before they get started. They come for help after they've already messed everything up.
Yeah, and that despite the fact that we tell them in the directions to post your recipe.
Yeah.
Tell us what you want to do, and then we'll help you make that look good. So
Yeah, it's too bad everybody don't understand that, huh?
Well, yeah, I mean, one person at a time. We just knock them down one person at a time. Eventually, we'll get to everybody. It just might take a while.
There you go. Yeah.
I got to start training an apprentice. I really do. I'm not going to live forever, you know.
I'm totally amazed how many people want to count bubbles instead of buy a hydrometer.
I
Oh, my
know.
God.
Can you believe that stuff? That blew me away. I saw that one. I was just like, really?
Okay,
There's-
if you're gonna,
It's everywhere. You go on Facebook and the different groups, and everybody, they want to talk about bubbles and bubble speed, and they don't have a clue of they don't know what a hydrometer even is.
Okay, you know what? I use my airlock as an indicator of, okay, it started bubbling, that means something's happening. It
Yes.
stopped bubbling, okay, it means it's something's not happening anymore.
Or at least
that's
not
when
at
it's
a rate
time to
that I
get at
can
the
determine
hydrometer.
it. Yeah. At that point, you're like, okay, something's slowed down. We need to check and see where we're actually at, and I don't know, measure something.
It's like your check engine light. It doesn't actually tell you anything. It just says you should go have a look.
Yeah.
That's a good analogy right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to write that one down, too.
Yeah, write that one down. Yeah, we'll put that up as, AJ quotes of the week. Oh God, yeah. But, I mean, it's funny, and for you beginning mead makers out there, I know the experienced mead makers are all just kind of laughing behind their hands because we've all done this shit. Don't tell me you haven't. I know you have. So I'm just looking at you right now.
I told you I'm the bad
Yeah, just all
Example.
you people out there laughing behind your hands, going, "Ha you newbies." Yeah, you did it too, and yes, I'm looking at you. So, yeah, I mean, we've all been there. I made some god-awful, stupid mistakes mead making. That's how I learned. But when I started doing this, there wasn't any damn directions anywhere. You know what I had to deal with? The first recipe, the infamous 26 spice recipe, was, and still is, in a book about witchcraft. For making ritual drinks for witchcraft ceremony. I still have the book.
Nice.
I'm actually going to go fetch it back out and verify that I wrote the recipe down correctly, and then I'm going to bring it to the forum, and we're going to take that thing apart and put it back together again and make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be fun to reformulate it, because I know it's got possibilities. It eventually did turn good, so there's just something wrong with the beginning part. But anyway, what I saw when I was out there researching and creating the very first pieces of what turned out to be GotMead eventually, I had SCA recipes, which for my SCA friends out there who might be listening, this is not saying SCA recipes are bad, but a lot of SCA recipes were coming from and derived from recipes created in the 12th century and the 15th century.
Yeah,
And
like the one that tells you to throw a chicken into it.
that one's great. Yeah, I love that one. Well, there were a lot of them that the way they fermented it was to throw a piece of bread in there because that was how you attracted the wild yeast, and the thing molded, blah blah blah. And at the time it was
More
good.
comfortable with that than throwing a chunk of chicken in.
Oh, I actually cleared a mead using a raw egg because that's what the recipe called for. Yeah, it works. You'd be amazed at how well it drags out particles. It's not the most sanitary way in the world to do it, but it worked.
Well, you know what?
I'm pretty
You can't
sure
really
the chicken was for pH control.
Probably, yeah.
Actually, I thought it was
Did
for...
the chicken have feathers or not?
I thought the chicken was actually for nitrogen.
Oh, it might have been. Yeah, it might have been. Because, it had chicken poop on its feet, and chicken poop is very high in nitrogen. So
Protein. Protein is nitrogen.
Protein and nitrogen. There you go. But yeah, so I mean that's the thing. So I mean, a lot of the SCA recipes were basically, people translating into English that regular people can understand, recipes that were written 400, 500, 600 years ago. Not to say they're bad recipes, but that the techniques that they used would not necessarily produce a mead you could drink right away, or ever sometimes. So, and a lot of those recipes were what I had in my collection, and what became the first recipes on GotMead. Because it was all I had.
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, well, it was all that was out there at that point in time. And then I discovered Acton and Duncan and Keim and, Ken Schramm. And things started to change. But that's a lot of people. I see recipes from that I had, and that they've probably gotten someplace else because I've taken them down since, that were on the old GotMead before we moved to the new platform. That, are ones that say, okay, now it's time to throw in your 3 different types of acid.
Right.
Yeah.
I've only been doing this for a year and a half. And if I go back to what was the current thing to do back then, I would say today, I would say, no, don't do that.
Yeah, it keeps changing. It keeps progressing.
Well, I think the important thing for a beginner to remember is that even doing a little bit of something is better than not doing any of it at all.
Yeah.
A little bit of nutrients, a little bit of energizer is still better than none at all. A little bit of aerating is still better than none at all. And the book that I started out with was The Joy of Home Winemaking by Terry Gary, which it's a great book, but it's really not in depth in the science, and it's not completely accurate in a couple of places.
Yeah.
And, it's a really good start, and it's a good read, and it's got a lot of nice recipes, but you sort of have to update the recipes for what we now know about mead making.
Well, and honestly,
I started with the Acton and Duncan book, and I remember
really
that the first. Yeah, it tells you to add acid.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing as Terry Gary, because you're emulating a wine must. And we know how all the research has been done on wine must, and we know how wine must behaves. We know how grape wine must behaves. So, of course, you want to make it act as much as possible like a wine must so that you know how it behaves, right?
Yeah.
Unless you're using honey, in which case it changes the rules.
And quick commercial sidebar here. The AMMA is actually working with UC Davis, which, of course, Robert Mondavi Institute is the holy grail of wine studies. You can all bow down to the floor now. We're not worthy.
We're not worthy.
Yeah, we really aren't. But anyway, Mondavi is really, really interested in the mead, marketplace, in mead as a drink. And they want to. There's the Honey and Pollination Center within the institute that wants to make more studies of mead. Now, some of the top fermentation experts in the world are at UC Davis. I mean, this is you go there if you ever get the opportunity to go to one of their symposiums that they have 3-4 times a year on mead making. Don't walk, run, get your ticket, go. I went to the first one, and it was wow. I sat there with my mouth open for 2 days. It was great. But anyway, what they're doing is planning on doing studies on mead fermentation and how that really works. So updating all of this, everything's based on wine stuff, and letting us create our own set of science. And the AMMA is working with them, and part of what they make in dues and raise as funds is going to go to help fund a trust. What do you call it?
Bursary?
Yeah, pile of money for them to use to do.
Yeah,
hopefully a big pile of money. The word is escaping me. This is what happens when you get old.
A foundation?
Not a foundation, just a
grant.
Yeah, thank you. A grant.
I
don't know why the word. Yeah, they're just putting together a grant and trying to get enough buy-in to create enough money so that they can basically fund this research to go there, and Ken Schramm started with a lot of this, and there's been a couple of other books published that kind of carried forward with more of that. So stuff is happening, but it's all on a small sort of individual scale. These guys are trying to say, let's do this sort of officially, and create that basic foundation of stuff so that this is ours, just
so
ours.
That you're doing it under lab conditions instead of bench conditions.
Exactly. So it's official research by one of the top fermentation organizations anywhere, And and that would basically be sort of the foundational and seminal work, if you will, to build upon for the rest of the mead making world. Mm-hmm. So end of commercial sidebar, but I just had to get that out there because the AMMA is working really actively with them to do that. So if you're not already a member, now's a good time.
Yeah, I'm going to join.
Good. I already did. I got to upgrade to commercial though. I'm joined as an individual, and I really have to just go ahead and cough up and join as a trade member, but I haven't gotten around to it yet.
Well, it's my understanding that they're considering making a in between membership that's not completely I think what is it, $450 for the pros and.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's called a I don't know what the official
name is. Want to be a meadery type thing.
Yeah, it's a wannabe. It's a wannabe meadery membership, basically for meadery that's on the way, but not.
You're not
open.
A meadery yet.
You're not a meadery yet. Yeah. So you're on the way, but you're not quite open, and you want to
learn how to get open.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah,
it's like an incubator type of situation.
Totally, it's an incubator. So basically what it gets you, continuing the small commercial sidebar, because I'm on the board at the AMMA, so I get to hear a lot of what's going on behind the scenes. And what the thinking is that the almost meaderies that are in process are basically stocking all their tossing all their money at permits and locations and so on and so forth, and at the same time are the people most in need of the resources that are available behind the scenes at the AMMA, and that is being able to talk directly to successful meadery owners to find out what did they do and how did they make that work, to take advantage of all of the stuff they've just got back there to help them build their business, get their loans, go to the bank, whatever it is that they're trying to do, and get that. So this in-between or almost meadery thing basically gets you a year at that discount, and it may be a year or until you launch. I'm not sure how they're going to do that, but basically it gets you that in-between pricing, so you're above personal and have access to more stuff, but below completely pro, so you don't have to pay as much money, but still have access to all the pro stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's going to be pretty awesome when they get that all completely in place, and I think it's going to happen pretty soon.
That's great.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, the basic thing with noobs, though, I mean, it seems to me like the basic thing is to be basic, follow directions, take notes.
Right, and don't start with 75 spice mead.
26, all right, let's just say.
The number's getting bigger.
Yeah, I know, right? It's going to be 127 spice mead soon. I wish I even know that many spices.
Yeah, start with everything basic. Start with just, honey, nutrients, water, and yeast, and go from there, But I think the main thing for a lot of people, especially the total noobs, people who've never done any kind of fermentation before, is make that Jon. It's foolproof, And
honestly,
it teaches everybody to follow directions.
Actually, one of my suggestions is get a wine kit and follow the directions there.
Mm-hmm. Learn how to follow directions. Yeah,
because the directions with a wine kit, they will teach you some of the skills you're going to need later on for like bottling and checking checking hydrometer and all of that stuff. It doesn't teach you anything about what's actually going on, but it teaches you the procedures you should be following.
Yeah,
that's good.
I would agree with that. Except
Go ahead.
I would agree with that, except a lot of the kit stuff, they tell you to do things that we wouldn't tell you to do making mead because they've already figured it out in the backstory, and they're trying to make it as simple and as impossible to mess up as they can, so they try to take out all of the arbitrary things.
Oh yeah, I dry pitched for years.
Mm-hmm.
Why do a starter when you can just rip the top off the package and dump it in the bucket?
And you know what? It worked most of the time.
I don't think I ever. The only ones that I ever had die on me were the YE Sweet Mead, the Sweet Mead Smack Packs.
No,
I had ones that ever died.
I actually had 2 dud packages of EC1118. And I know they were dud packages because I tried to make, it's like, that's not working. Okay, there's another one from the same batch. Did these get left out in the sun or something? And I couldn't get either of them to start. I even, the second